I'm Tim Ellis, and thank you for joining us for Laneway Live. Tonight's guest is a member of the Australian Institute of Magic. He's performed his very first show last year at the Melbourne Magic Festival, and he promises to give us a lot of magic tonight. Please welcome Chi Han Yo.
Lovely to be here. How are you guys going?
Oh, we're going well.
Especially you,
Where
Tim.
are you? Where are you living at the moment?
It's completely top secret, but I'll give you a hint. It's right next to Victoria Market. No, I actually have a fantastic. I've been holed up in my apartment for quite a while, and that's the lovely view that I have. I don't know if you can see it with the sun coming down, but just overlooks over there. It's Victoria Market.
Wow. So you is it like a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment?
I live in a 3-story apartment in the middle of the CBD. I've got to have you over sometime.
Wow. Well,
Man,
not for about 6 months.
Yeah. No, I used to have, man, because I don't know. I know certain people are handling the isolation a little bit better, but I'm a very social guy, and I used to do viewing parties because I got a projector right behind, and I used to try and get people to watch movies and stuff like that. And I was thinking about getting a bunch of magicians, and maybe we watch like a magic DVD because I've got quite an expansive collection. I know you do too, and just watching something and just talking about it, doing a workshop or something.
So you're going to go a bit crazy for the next few months.
You know what? That's the thing. I do love hanging out with people. At the same time, I've got such a backlog of stuff to read, and I know that every magician in the world probably does. Like, this came out at the right time. It's my newest tome, and this is volume 1 of 2. So I've got
You
6
should
months,
tell
maybe
people what it is.
actually the exact. Oh, this. Oh, yeah.
Not
Sorry,
everybody.
I haven't.
Not everybody recognizes the cover.
Well, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, no, so I've been excited for this book for a couple of years now. It's a book by a gentleman by the name of Steve Forte, and Steve Forte specializes, he doesn't consider himself a magician, and I don't think he is a magician, correctly so, in in sort of like card mechanics. He's a gambling expert, and he basically tips a lot of the things that he thinks that magicians would be interested in, and boy, is he right. It's a lot of finesses on small card controls and false shuffles and false deals and a lot of really technical stuff. And it's just absolutely incredible. And for a guy like me, I'm a huge geek. If you ever see my card collection, this is the stuff. Anyway, should we show people some magic before they get too bored? Because I could really go on about this book forever.
Well, I have a feeling you're going to be sitting in your apartment for the next few months, just like getting better and better and better just by practicing nonstop.
You know what, that's the dream, because I do love it. But I'll talk to you a little bit about that later, actually, if you don't forget to ask me, because I do talk to a lot of people about practice and stuff like that. And to me, magic doesn't really exist when you're practicing in your room by yourself. Magic is when you share it with people and you perform it. And yeah, that's why to me, I'm like, even though no matter how good I get at it, I don't feel like I'm really doing magic.
Well, I feel like I'm restraining you at the moment. You are chomping at the bit. So go ahead.
Well,
I'll let the audience have a good view, and we will hand over to you.
All right. Well, I know we were playing with angles and stuff a little bit. I just don't want people to get too bored of me going on about one of the best books of all time. No, anyway, I'd love to show you guys a trick. I really thought that, what's going to be so impressive if I could just take any sort of deck of cards, borrowed deck of cards, and just make an ace appear right in the middle, just shoot right out the middle of the deck. And unfortunately, I know that other people are also, they don't want to see that. They want to see me do something weird. They want to see me do like a really fancy sort of cut and then suddenly make the other ace appear out of the deck. And I like, that would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do either of those. So then I thought, you know what? I'll just steal a trick from one of the greatest magicians in the entire world. His name is Bill Malone. He does this trick where he takes the 2 black aces, and he transforms them into the two red aces. Would that be good? Would that be a good trick? Would you like to see that, Tim?
I think I have. I think I just did.
Well, I would love to show it to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those aces. I'm going to put them in the deck. We're just going to give the cards a wave. And that should be 1 black ace. Let's see. Oh, this is so tricky to do it for camera as well. Ooh. Anyway, let's cut the deck. That's about 26. And that's the 2nd black ace. And what we're going to do, we're going to take those cards and we're going to transform them into the 2 red aces. So that's 1 red ace to no applause. Tim, when you do the edits, and we'll take the second one, and I'll just see if I can get on the right angle there. I think that's about second red ace. And because I really do want to impress you, and because it's Tim Ellis, who's a world champion of Magic, this takes about 5 years to learn and about 5 seconds to do. That's 2 black aces right over there. How's that good for the camera? Is that okay?
Fantastic, fantastic. So you have
thank you.
You have been practicing. Give us another.
I've been enjoying. Give you
go.
Another trick. Okay, let's try. We're gonna try. This one's a little bit strange here. We're gonna try and produce the 4 kings out of thin air, magically as possible. That's number 3. Voracious applause. Voracious applause. And that's the last one right over there. I love doing magic like that because it's. Anyway, how you been?
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So you mentioned you haven't learned anything from the Steve Forte book yet. It's too hard?
No. It's some really sort of like niche stuff. So in terms of technical ideas, like I don't want to tip anything from it, but it's just things like how to frame your hands, small improvements on things that I already do. So this, for example, this is a sequence of shuffles that I do, and it's completely false shuffle for the deck. So absolutely nothing changes. Every single card is retained. And I feel bad tipping that to all the lay people, but that's Magic's a bit of sleight of hand. And he's got so many ideas there. And it's just small subtleties that help you sort of improve ideas with practice. And there's things that I can't do yet. Yeah, as you say. So like this is something that I've been working on. Whew, I actually did that for that time. Anyway,
and we're
people
sitting
who
here going,
got
and nothing happens.
And nothing happens. Ta-da, ta-da. Man, Magic done well. I think that's the thing. That's the thing about people. A lot of people that I see, they do really, really good sleight of hand and great work with that, and they think that in itself is the Magic. For example, there's a move, and I know that you're familiar with this move. If you were to take this and you look at the deck and you just sort of give it a wave, and you can change the card that's on there. Right. And many times I've seen people, they say, "Can you show me a trick?" And they'll be like, "Watch." And I think for some people, definitely for like David Blaine, and well, I keep using David Blaine, but he doesn't even he does stuff like that, but he adds, drama and tension and sort of, and everything else. And I think that is so important to it. And that's a part of Magic that really is difficult for me. So whenever I have a show or anything like Slight Night, which is, by the way, one of the greatest Magic shows in the world, definitely be supporting that. Unfortunately, I had to cancel it due to the coronavirus crisis, and very, very well. It's very, very safe and responsible move. But I will actually not read anything. I won't read anything new because that stuff is for fun. I will spend the time scripting. I'll spend the time rehearsing. And I do all the things that I would do for sleight of hand. For example, I've got a three-way mirror. I've got a camera. I'll practice my routine in front of the mirror. I'll practice my routines in front of the camera. And I'll just keep going and doing those and trying to make them better, because that performance aspect, that's the harder part for me. I love the sleight of hand stuff, but getting comfortable in front of an audience, getting comfortable in front of stage, it's really, that's to me, it's the most difficult part about Magic.
So last year you did your first ever Magic Festival show?
Yeah. Oh man, that was an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for that. I wasn't even initially going to do it, but one of my friends, Liam Jumperts, LJ, and he's an amazing magician. You got to check him out if for people who don't know him. He said, actually, Tim's offering for these people to do these sort of secret showcase things. There'll be a one-off, and I'm like, I can do a one-off show. That'll be fun. I love Parlor. I've never done it. I usually do close-up, walk around. You'll be great. And at the same time, I was just starting to get a lot of gigs as well, and so I was starting to feel really confident. And oh boy, that was a mistake, because doing a show and sort of writing it and creating it is a completely different process. And I remember basically coming to one of these AIM, because the Australian Institute of Magic, we do these sort of workshops together, basically begging people like, I need help. How does this trick work? Give me anything. and everyone there is so helpful and so lovely. And yeah, and we workshopped, and it ended up being a great show. And I came up with so many great friends and stories from that. And it was just absolutely incredible.
And now you've got a new show planned for this year's Melbourne Magic Festival, if it does go ahead in some way or form.
I'm really hoping so. Yeah, so the show, it's going to be called the first show that I did was called Almost Unbelievable. And the idea was, I love history and I love all these sort of unbelievable things that have been happening throughout, like stuff that if I tell it to you, you don't believe it. People, alchemists, it's about lottery winners. It's just stuff that just seems so unreal, kind of like how 2020 feels a little bit unreal. And I thought that is almost, if I could tie that in with Magic, that would be fun. And I kind of want to take that sort of into one step further, to be sort of things that are a little bit more mundane, but are actually incredibly magical in themselves. We've kind of lost it in the sort of the sense of how caught up and rushed we are. And it was just going to be a bunch of fun routines and a bunch of cool things that I thought were good. But there was one thing that I don't know if you remember this. We were talking at the last Melbourne Magic Festival, and I was saying that I loved the routine that you basically gave me the idea for. You said, use this idea. This is amazing. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is the best idea for magic I've ever heard. And I did it, and I was thinking, I wish I could have done this and that. And you told me, you can actually always just, like, it takes years to make these things good. And put it out to Dom, and Dom Chambers, he's a magician. For people who don't know, he's one of the most amazing magicians of all time. He's such a nice guy as well. He was on America's Got Talent. I think he reached the semifinals, and he does this, he's, the Australian beer magician. And you said, he spent years working on that act. So, the fact that I spent like, a couple of months and I'm not happy with it, that's sort of normal, and I can keep working on it. And so that's why I really wanted the show again this year, and I could bring it in and I could work on it again, because I had so many new ideas, and I bought all these, gimmicks and toys and lights, and I was telling you about them, and like, oh, this is going to be the best. And it is a little bit disappointing to not get to do it, but I am in it for sort of the long haul.
But how long have you been doing magic?
I've only been doing magic for about 5.5 years, I think, which it can be long depending on who you ask. But it's
well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people who are doing magic all their life are not constantly moving cards in their hand in the way that you're doing.
Is that an annoying habit? I don't know.
It's how to get good. It's the way to get good. But I've got to ask you though, you were talking about your show, seeing we have you in the wide screen. Yeah. Is there something you can do from your old show?
From my old show?
Putting you on the spot here.
You know what? I think a lot of it was audience participation, and they did have other people. But so I'm wondering if I can do sort of a substitute kind of trick. Okay, this was something that I did do in my old show, because I love gamblers. And of course, and I know that you'll know this, but a lot of people don't know, one of the greatest gamblers of all time was a gentleman by the name of John Scarney. John Scarney was from New York, and he was this, really rough and tumble. He talked a big game, and he wrote a book. And many people for years have debated whether or not the stuff in the book was real, whether or not that was actually him just lying and bragging about it. And I'm here to categorically tell you, it was not only real, it was so unbelievable. We're going to do it here tonight at the Laneway Theater through the internet. Well, we're going to try. This is going to be amazing. So what I would have someone come up to and just cut the deck anywhere they like, right in half.
We'll trust
Tim?
you.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I'm just gonna run my finger down like this, and I just want you to say stop whenever you like.
There.
Right here?
There. Yep.
Right here.
That's
not this one.
No.
Or this one.
Yes.
This one. Okay. That'll be the first pile.
Wow, it's working.
I know, it's magic already. Riffle.
Stop.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Da 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 da. Okay. And the last one.
Another one. Stop.
Right here?
Yep.
And I used to have this sort of conversation. I do it with an accent because, if you're gambling with a legendary John Scarney, you can't be too careful. You can't go in, half cocked, because you see, John's a gambler, and when he gambles, he plays to win. And if you don't exactly play perfect, well, you could end up losing your life. But today I see you were very, very lucky. I don't remember the exact pattern, but it was something like that. And I'm actually amazed that you did that, Tim. I wasn't even doing a trick at that time. I was just like showing you what it would look like, and I don't know how that happened, but that's four aces. But yeah, no, it's actually pretty incredible.
And of course, even though everything in Australia is closed down, the casino is still open. So head on.
I know. How amazing is that? That's the real magic trick.
That is crazy stuff. That is crazy stuff. So you're working on a new show, and
working on the new show.
It's called Card Duggery and Other Made Up Words.
Yes. And that, yeah, as I say, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I'm doing stuff that I've always wanted to do. I've always, and I've told this to pretty much every magician. I've always thought that there were three things a magician could do. I don't know if you want to listen to a guy who's only got 5 years experience, but I thought not to do, but you should learn is you should always learn an ambitious card, uh, a miser's dream, and a cups and balls, because I always thought that those things taught you timing. They taught you how to make repetition memorable as well as exciting, and how to escalate it, because if you just do the same thing over and over again, it gets boring. But if you learn how to escalate it, you learn how to make it great. You learn the timing, you learn how to do a multi-phase routine that can end anywhere. You learn how to have audience interaction, because those tricks, even though they're sort of solo, they're also a bit interactive. And I always thought that those were such great things to do. And I always paid sort of a lip service to that, because I always have an ambitious card, because that's the first thing card magicians do. And I spent some time trying to come up with the cups and balls, but I never really sat down and said, no, it's the grindstone. I want to do this. And this year I said, you know what? I want to do this. I want to be a better magician, because I'm looking at people and I just love what they're doing. I love their work. And, you know, and I've had so many great friends, and you don't really have anything to lose by going out there and trying to entertain people and have fun. And oh God, if I can tell you,
Yeah.
this is my favorite Dom Chambers story, by the way.
Right.
I got to share Dom Chambers story with you. So Dom and I doing Melbourne Magic Festival together. My first year of the show, I bring in my final set piece, which is this. It's sort of like a frame with a sort of almost clear but still kind of opaque sheet. That I can cast shadows through. And I do this sort of shadow puppet thing where the shadows come alive and everything. It's really fun and it tells a story. And it's a bit rickety, and I've made it myself, and it's held together by glue. And the dressing room is about this thick. And so we're in there, you know, practicing, I'm warming up. Dom Chambers comes in, successful show, kills it, trips over and destroys my frame. This is the opening night. He looks around and goes, oh my God, whose is that? And I'm laughing so hard at this point because everything's gone wrong. I'm like, it's me. And he offers to help me fix it. And he's just the coolest guy. And I'm like, you don't need to help me fix it because, you know, I can put it back together and stuff. But you have to let me, at the beginning of my show, at the end of my show, introduce this trick by saying, everyone knows the great magician Dom Chambers, right? He was so jealous of this trick, he tried to destroy it backstage. And he was like, done. Tell everyone it was jealousy. So yeah, so this is the trick. If you guys come see my show, you'll see the trick that drove Dom Chambers insane with jealousy and fury. He's never seen it, but I'm sure he'd be equally jealous.
Now, I was going to mention, you are not a full-time magician. You actually have a real job.
Yeah. I mean, in the sense of it, I do enjoy it as much as I enjoy magic. I am a lawyer at Hall and Wilcox Lawyers, and it is an absolute blast. And I think there are a lot of magicians who are lawyers, or lawyers who become magicians, and it's sort of a very weird kind of mix. But it's fun. I guess it's analysis or something. I don't know. We
Have
gotta
you
talk to a
never thought
psychologist
of,
about it.
like, you know, I'm gonna one day I'm gonna give up my real job and become a full-time magician, travel the world?
I love magic so much. It's something that I love doing as a hobby. And I gotta say, I've never seriously considered it as a career,
Especially now in the current state,
especially now.
all magicians
Well,
are totally unemployed.
oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's I have lots of friends who are full-time magicians, and I just could not feel worse about that. So really, I mean, if people out there, if they're offering, I don't know, online shows or gift vouchers or anything, it really would help them, because it's really a huge chunk of their livelihood is going away, and it's hard to get gigs and stuff now. And I can only imagine the struggle. I'm literally hearing it like third hand, like, but it is something that it's a huge shame. But that's part of it. That's part of, if you want to do it full time, you have to think to yourself, you know, am I going to be able to keep getting shows, keep getting gigs? I have to keep hustling. You're working, if you're your own boss, you know, to me, it seems like you're working 24 hours a day or 26 hours a day, even, just to try and get jobs to do that 1 hour of performance. And I don't think it's a life for everyone, but I gotta say, despite all of that, it is pretty tempting. I don't know why, because that 1 hour of just,
Being on
yeah,
stage.
it just feels. I'll tell you, the most inspiring, and at the same time, this is kind of a little bit disheartening, is the first time I ever saw Lucy Darling. And Lucy Darling, people who don't know, if you go to the Melbourne Magic Festival, it is one of the best shows there. I don't know. I don't know how the show's going to run, but she'll be coming back. But it's a magician by the name of Carissa, and she created a character that I saw in the debut. They were doing, it was their debut run, and they added an extra show because it was so popular. And at the time, I had no idea who she was. I had no idea really that much about magic. I think this was the year you had Max Maven, if I'm not mistaken. And I love Max Maven. And he, yeah, anyway, got some Max Maven stories. But I went and I saw her and I was like, this is absolutely mind blowing. I saw her again the next year out of chance because somebody said, I've got a spare ticket. Do you want to go? And I didn't realize, but she was evolving the show and evolving the character. And then I said, the third year, I'm like, I brought my friends. I'm like, you have to see this. And we saw it. And I remember I also got to see her at the Butterfly Club, which she was performing with she was doing like a opening and a closing with Handsome Jack. And they were sort of like, but I just remember thinking she's getting better and better, and she's gone from like success to success, and she's just one of the nicest and like just most awesome people. So wow, props to her. But I remember seeing that and thinking to myself, I kind of want to one day have a show that I can do that's like that. It looks so fun and so incredible, and there was so much work that went into it because I saw the progression every single year, and I'm like, I can't imagine the sheer amount of effort that just went in, and it looks effortless. It looks like nothing. And if you don't see it year to year, you don't really realize how much has changed. It just seems like it came out of nowhere. It just sort of blossomed. And I just kept thinking, if I was doing that full time, is that what I get out of it? Is I get that gift of having this show that's just so amazing and beautiful. And I'm like, that would be something. That would be something.
Well,
But so far, yeah.
she's just released her show online, 1
Oh
hour
yeah,
show.
that's right.
She's recorded at
I haven't
Chicago
seen it
Magic
yet.
Lounge. So we'll put the link down there so people
Oh
can
yes, please do.
have.
Everyone check that out.
Yeah,
And she was on Fool List very recently. I got to ask you actually, because this is something I was curious. Well, what's your take on Fool List? Have you ever been asked to go on? Are you gonna?
I've spoken to them about doing Runaround Sue, but unfortunately, copyright of the music is not possible,
No.
and
Are you
I do not do that routine to any other music. So that's that.
That's one of my favorite. Oh, that was one of my favorite routines I've ever seen in my life. Because every single step of that routine has fooled the heck out of me, and I think I've gone through that with a fine-tooth comb, and it's entertaining. It's amazing. But is that the only routine you'd be willing to do? Not your iPhone routine or anything?
There's another piece that I've talked about, but they've just finished filming their latest season. They just finished exactly the day before the coronavirus shut everything down. So
lucky with that.
I'm not quite sure if they're going to edit and get it out in time while give us something to watch while we're in isolation. But it's a very, very popular show. People love it because it gives magicians the chance to see to perform their full acts. You know, it's not like it's on America's Got Talent or anything. You do your full act and you're treated with respect. And that's lovely.
I think there's a bit of controversy amongst magicians for it, and I just wanted to get your take. And you don't, I don't know, since we're talking to a lot of people, if you want to give it, but I think there's some sort of people who say that it's because there's an emphasis on fooling. It sort of gives that impression that magic is all about fooling and stuff, about making sure. And some people think that's really detrimental. Other people think that maybe it's not such a big issue, that nobody's really getting hurt by it, and it's really more of a platform. I don't know. Do you have an opinion on this?
I tend to think that now there's a lot of people who enjoy magic in different ways. There's a large proportion of people who just want to be fooled and pretend it's real. And there's another proportion of people who go, I need to know how it's done. I've got to figure it out. And they get the pleasure. The puzzle solvers. I've got a few good friends who just love to solve puzzles. And every now and again, I'll do a trick and they have no idea how it's done. And they literally stay up all night trying to figure out, I need to know. And then you've got the third category of people who just hate magic and will not watch it.
Oh.
So, but I think Fool Us tends to just appeal to the first two categories. The people who love magic and then the people who just want to figure it out. It gives them a little hook in there. I don't think the people who love magic end up going, so it's all just about, whether I'm fooled or not, because they appreciate magic in a different way.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great answer, actually.
But are you going to show
I tried to get
one more?
Sure. Let's do another one.
Are you back?
Yeah, heck yeah. I tried to get on Fool Us once. You
audition in Brisbane?
I watched. Yeah, Gold Coast. Arthur and Helen. They did a convention, for people who don't know, Gold Coast convention, and it was just so amazing. I swear, you got to do the audition and 4 a.m. hangouts with other magicians. Richard Turner was there. That was absolutely incredible. Anyway, so this is sort of a trick that I would normally give a spectator a deck to shuffle, and I would talk to them about card sharps. Do you guys know what a card sharp is, Tim? I'm guessing. I know that you play poker occasionally.
I'm responding on behalf of the entire audience. Yes, we do.
In the entire world. So card sharps, for people who don't know, they're people who are really, really good with cards. And they're sort of a few.
Are they different?
A buzz on Facebook.
Are they different to card sharks?
they're sort of actually the same, two terms for the same thing. I want to try and get my face into this because my face is the best part about this whole trick. Don't let Harry Lorraine say that. And anyway, there was this card sharp one day who was gambling with these four gamblers, and they started to notice something very weird. They noticed, let me find that last ace. They noticed that whenever it was his turn to shuffle or cut, you know, anytime he would do any sort of cuts or anything, no matter how fancy or whatever, they would always notice that there would be an ace at the very bottom. So they waited until it was his turn to shuffle. They grabbed his hands and they said, hang on a second. There's not just one ace at the bottom of this deck. There's in fact all four aces. This guy's been cheating us the entire night. Now, keep in mind, these are gamblers. So they've got this sort of code, this sort of moral thing. They can't just take the money from him. They got to win it back. So they said, here's what we're going to do. First of all, none of this four aces at the bottom business. We're going to take those aces. We're going to shove them right there into the middle of the deck. And then we're going to throw a couple more cards on top. Second gambler looks at the deck and he says, yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take one of these aces, gonna cut that right into the middle, take some more cards, throw that on top, cut it again. Third gambler says, this is a barely shuffled deck. You call this shuffled? Oh, here, I'm gonna take the third ace, gonna put that in the middle of the deck, gonna throw some more cards right on top and cut the whole deck again. Final gambler looks at the deck and he says, boy, 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 boy. I'm also gonna take the cards, put that in the middle, cut the deck again, throw the cards on top and cut it one more time. Now, we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play high card. But because you've been cheating us all night, we get an advantage. You can't just cut to a card. For example, if we cut to a two, the two of clubs, you can't just cut to like the three of diamonds. It has to be a card of the same suit. So if we cut to the two of clubs, you have to beat us with the three of clubs. Now, the card sharp's chances are even lower. So anyway, the gambler comes. First gambler, he takes the deck, he gives it a couple of cuts, and don't let the fact that I use that cut fool you, because he cut to the first king, the king of spades. Now, the card sharp's in a bit of trouble because there's only one card that beats that king, and that would be the ace of spades because of these new rules. So he takes the deck and he cuts it. And of course, he cuts to the only ace that beats that king. So now the gamblers are a bit upset, but they figure, well, he's got to be hiding those aces somewhere. And where's the most logical place to hide the aces? At the top of the deck. So they turn over that card. No, that's also a king. And they're like, well, okay. Listen, we don't like you and we don't trust you, but just to make sure, do you mind cutting the deck with one hand? And he says, one hand, just so we know you're not cheating? So yeah, sure, of course I'll cut the deck with one hand. Of course he cuts to the only ace that beats that king. So now they're like, okay, well, if he's not hiding the cards at the top, he's got to be hiding them, the center doesn't make any sense. He's got to be hiding them in the bottom. So they turn over the cards. No, that's yet another king. And they say, well, you know what? We're going to get to see him cut it with one hand face up. So we'll see the ace. No, they didn't see the ace. I only saw it flying right out of the middle. The fourth gambler says, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to shuffle the deck as much as possible. Give it one cut. And I'm going to cut to five king. But hang on a second. I don't want you to cut to the ace. I want you to cut to a card that indicates the position of the ace. For example, if you cut to a 6, we're going to count down 6 cards, and that better be the ace. And we want you to cut it with one hand. So he takes the deck, gives it a cut, and he cuts to a 5. So count out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And of course, he cuts to the only ace that beats that king. And as Harry Lorraine says, that's why you don't gamble with strangers.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, it has been a pleasure chatting with you and watching your tricks. Hope we can get to see them at the Melbourne Magic Festival, but if we can't, I'm sure we're going to figure out some way to spread your magic and everyone else's magic through the world.
Oh, I'm really hoping so. Anyway, thank you so much for this, by the way, Tim. And I think this is absolutely fantastic what you're doing. And it's absolutely great that you're producing it and getting so many people, basically giving them voices and platforms to perform.
And I've got to say, for anyone who thinks, oh, he's got a real job, he's not a real magician. The thing is that the people like yourself with the real job actually have the time to practice.
That's true, because I'm not.
And it shows. It shows. As you said, we're running our businesses, trying to hustle up work. Every single job we get, we have to spend so much time auditioning, promoting, trying to get work. And then if we get a chance, we can do some rehearsal. But it's such a pleasure to watch someone who spends, how many hours a day do you spend rehearsing?
Well, it depends really. At least about 2. But it really does depend. I can sometimes squeeze in a couple extra hours, but I've got video games to play. So
video games to play as well. You are so busy. You're not going to be at all during this period. Is your work going to change? You're going to be working from home?
Yeah, I've been, well, yeah, we've actually been transitioning work from home from quite a while because we're sort of one of those firms, very progressive. You know, a lot of people have commitments with kids and whatever. It's the main thing is to get work out. So we've had this work from home program for a while. And now with this sort of incident, it's sort of ramped up. Everybody's getting the equipment, making sure that everybody's ready to work. And yeah, so at the moment, nothing's really changed, but at the same time, it's kind of changed, if that makes sense, because now everyone's doing it.
Yeah, and you get to secretly practice your card tricks at work.
Secretly. I think everyone knows what I'm doing right now.
I think so. I
All
think we've
right.
just blown your gig. Well, thank you so much for the time, and we'll talk to you.
All right. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.